All right, folks, we're under here. I'm gonna see if we can get a light. Where'd my light go? I know I had it right here. Try to get you a little more light. This is a gift from my dad. Look at that. Goodness. Can you guys see through all that sunshine there? All right. Now, there's some people said that these are 13 millimeter. Now, I watch a lot of videos, so you guys don't have to, but you can if you want. And it's a half inch socket that is needed for this. So I'm gonna start at the bottom and work my way up. I'm gonna leave the top two to last. That way, if it starts to drain, it drains right here, and the cover stays on and keeps the mess, hopefully, to a minimum. I'm pretty sure this has been off before, and you guys tell me otherwise, but there certainly seems like there's some gluish stuff around here. That could be an indicator of it been into before. We'll see how nasty or decent this gear oil is. I tell you what, gear oil is some of the smelliest stuff. Not a good oil smell, but it's necessary. Now, normally I'd like to lift this off the ground a little bit, but this truck's, I can get under it okay, as is. I have a feeling this is one that ain't gonna leak at all, because it's got some glue under here for sure. Most of these I have gaskets. Everything I want had gaskets. So, and if this particular light, I'm using it for the first time, if it has a little funny flicker to it, we'll have to not use it for videos, but we can use it for work. One here. Now me, I'm gonna put these tags that are on here right back on here, because it says here's some interesting stuff. That 9.75 means it's a 9 3/4 inch ring gear on this, and that's important when you're buying your gasket for it. And whatever adhesive they put on there, or sealer put on there, is some good stuff. I'll put that tag over here. We got a tag on the other side over here. That says something and something and something. 75W140 synthetic oil only. So we're going to adhere to that. I'll be putting some Amsoil oil in here. Might have to move you guys back a minute so I can get you out of the kill zone here. What do we got? Got a putty knife and a screwdriver. Let's see if we can get it in there. It's in there good. See if that's enough room to get a screwdriver in there now or not. I'm gonna see if I can get this kind of pounded around. This sealant on here is really strong. And I'm not sure there's even a gasket on this one. I want to be careful not to mess up the surfaces, and also don't want to bend this cover at all, because I want it to seal again. And I'm going to put a gasket with some high temp RTV on it, well, thin layer on it, and go from there. I can smell the oil. It's in there. Well, whatever they put on there obviously works good, and it's not leaking. This thing's dry. There's some leak. There, we got some oozage. Oh, there it goes. Well, that's some clean oil there. My goodness. Yeah. That's really clean. Like gold. Like it was just put in there a week ago. You sure you didn't work on this, Dad? Whoa.
I just laid my hand.
Oh, there's laid your hand on it.
It said heal.
Heal. And the skies opened up and the seas parted. That didn't seem like a whole lot coming out of there, did it? since the flood is over, I can go ahead and back this one out. Hopefully. So far, only a couple drops on the driveway. And them clutches we talked about, they're in this side and that side. It lets those spider gears lock up in there. But yeah, that's going to drain a lot of it right on out. Now we got to get all this gluey stuff off, and that's a mess. But yeah, the ring gear on both sides look really good. Just normal pattern. I mean, if there was a wear pattern that was supposed to be perfect, that looks pretty good. Looks like the factory did a satisfactory job.
Those look good in there.
Yeah, I don't see any real issues that I would call issues. Some oil. I'd say you can't hold too much oil where that fill plug is, depending on where that's at. So, all right. So what we're gonna do now?
Where is the fill plug?
Oh, is this the little sensor here, maybe, for the anti-lock type stuff going on? It's on this.
Yeah.
What is it? Yeah, I bet that's what that is. Don't know for sure. We'll just say it is.
A tiny ring gear.
Yeah, it's like a little tiny, like a bicycle chain gear.
Tiny,
Sprocket. You got to get in here. There's a little trough in here that you got to sit here and try to sweep out. But it's even down at the bottom here, where you'd have sediment, and that's where you want to look for any metal shards or anything. I mean, that's just as. That ain't gonna be much cleaner than that. There is so little anything in there. Now what we're gonna do is we'll take a wire wheel, a hold of this, and get all this off the face. And here I am just trying to wipe out some of this, just in case there was anything in the bottom, which there is not. And then we'll go after it one more time once I get done cleaning the gasket surface. But I think I'm gonna try just a gasket scraper at first instead of the wire wheel, because it won't sling garbage everywhere. And then take these paper towels up in here like this. This is gonna be key for keeping it clean. Now one advantage we got here with a truck that has a limited slip or posi rear end, however you want to look at it. I might be saying it wrong, but I'm close enough for everybody listening. When you got this in four-wheel drive, because you always got the back tires pulling for you with this type of differential. I had an old 65 Ford 3/4 ton that had a posi rear end, and that thing would go just about everywhere. And it was just a two-wheel drive. But then you get this monster here engaged, where you got the four-wheel drive, and at least you got one, you know, since it's not a posi front end, you got one wheel pulling on the front. That's three wheels. That'll get you through some stuff. Nice. Okay, let's get a gasket scraper out here and see what we can do. See, by scraping it first, I'm keeping all this debris I'm getting off of there from just flying everywhere. Makes it a little nicer. Might use the wire wheel for a little touch up on some of this. Now you guys that live with me up there in the Rust Belt, this is something that's unusual you see here, is a truck that's set rust free, 20 years old. But I just went and looked at a 1999, this is an 05, a 1999 GMC Sonoma that had a horrible miss in the engine. I was looking to buy it, but the miss was just too severe, and I'm not sure what it might have been related to, so I didn't take a chance on it. But the underside looked as clean as this thing did. It's just what happens in this state. There's just no salt on the roads, no calcium chloride, and these things will preserve themselves pretty well as long as you don't add corrosive agents to everything. You might have the top blister off of it. I'd rather have that than a nasty, rusty thing that you try to take apart. All right, to get this last little bit here, I want to take a wire wheel and just kind of get it good. I'm just gonna get under here and kind of test, look at the gasket here. There you go. Looks like the right one. That's good news. Now, would you guys put a gasket back on here or not? I got a nice Velcro gasket. I think I'm going to use it. In this worst case scenario, I'll get a little rear end leak down here that drips a little bit. I can always go back, drain it again, and put oil in again. No, that's not cheap to do that, but it's not going to kill it either. It's just going to cost you a few bucks to learn whether I should have to gasket or not to gasket. That is the question. Obviously, this was working just fine with the whatever sealant that was on it. Is that factory sealant? Maybe you guys know that color, that gray color, was a factory sealant. But that oil looked way too clean to be 147,000 mile gear oil. So I think the previous owner, the original owner of this vehicle, I think he did a good job of maintaining this thing, because the transmission fluid is clean, clean, clean. And then what we're seeing here in this rear end oil is clean. The gear wear looks just perfect. When I mean perfect gear wear, I mean barely anywhere. So old Pops is he's cleaning up the cover right now. When he gets done with the wire wheel, I'm gonna get under here and get this little bit. I got this little bit off right here to get. Wonder if I can scrape a little bit with my knife blade. Oh man, you took away the patina. All right, here we go. Yeah, oh man. It don't get any cleaner than that. Don't take much. Trying to keep the paper towels out of the action here. It's hard. Oh, dang it. That's not bad. I can live with that. That'll seal. Carefully pull this back out. Pulled out some more oil. Whew, that's strong. Now I'm gonna try to get this out of here. Get all that brake clean out of here. Don't want to have any of that in here. Nice thing is, once I get this all out, flushed out, it'll actually dry pretty quick. Then we can stick our gasket on it. Pablo Picasso couldn't have done a better job than that. Look at that, guys and gals. That's as clean as it gets. I got a thin layer on that now. We're gonna see if we can sneak it right back up in here without disturbing this gasket. We're gonna eyeball it right back into place here. Easy, slow but fast, fast but slow, gentle. Get a couple of bolts started and it won't slide around on me, and the rest of it's history. We'll go ahead and put the left tag back on. It says use synthetic oil only. And this tag was up on top here because I can see the rust marks. Okay, the witness marks. I can't really call it rust marks on this thing because it's too darn clean. I'll just get them all started back in here. Whoop. And then all we got left is to put the oil back in, and I'll show you where that goes. Now you can buy an aluminum cover for this, and that has a drain hole and a fill hole and a sight glass and aluminum fins and looks real fancy. And also, you know, with the aluminum, it helps. The heat sink helps keep your gear oil a little bit cooler. But you know, this looked pretty good after 150,000, almost 150,000 miles. So we're gonna just continue with the program. Now that we got them all started, you don't have to work any particular order, but we will torque them. I'm just gonna get them all put down in there like that. All right, then we're gonna get the torque wrench out. We're gonna torque them to spec. What's the torque spec on the F150 differential with a 9 1/4 inch gear? 33 foot-pounds is what we're going to. There we go, clickety click. A little squeeze out here and there, not much at all. We're just gonna wipe the excess off and call it good. Now we gotta add the oil. All right, as you guys can see here, we pulled the bolt, we pulled this off. It's a pipe thread. I've already got some some sealant back on it, but it takes a 3/8 socket or 3/8 drive, like ratchet or extension or whatever you want to use. I use the 3/8 one of these. And got it out of there, which was awesome. Now we're going to put some oil back in it. Okay folks, what I'm using here, I'm going to get you a light on it here. All right, what I'm using here is some Valvoline full synthetic, which is what it recommends, 75W40 140, which is what it recommends, and it says contains limited slip. So this means I don't have to add any slip lock or any limited slip oil to it. So that's a good thing. That saves you some money, even though these cost a little more. The other thing about these bags is they're sealed on top. It's a little tech tip here. They're sealed like that. And what you do is cut your tip off like this, and oil comes out pretty easy. The tip, cut that tip, open it up, and you can reuse this tip on the rest of them. And that way you could preserve a tip that isn't open yet. Just a little tech tip there. Now we're gonna see if we can get you guys in here. So the nice thing about these little bags is you can stick this spout right in there and squeeze the oil in there. Or if you have the pump, you can pump them in. This, I don't remember how much it takes, but I think it's close to 3 quarts. And if your slip lock happens to come in, or anti-slip lock stuff doesn't come in your oil, and you want to put it in here, you can take one of these empty bags and pour that slip lock into it if it's not in a squeezable tube itself. And you can squeeze it in there with one of these guys. Now I've got an oil pan under here that's going to catch, because you're going to fill this up until it comes out of that hole, and that's how you know your rear end is full. So you can transfer this cap that I already have open onto this one, lock it down, rinse, repeat. You gotta be careful when you think it's running out like that. It's not. It's just where you spilled it on the threads, so be careful of that. Give you a false positive there that it's full. Don't let that happen to you. Now when it runs out like that, you can be relatively assured that it's pretty full. And when in doubt, you can always reach your finger in there and see if it's at the top of the thing here. But that's full right there. Then I'm gonna go ahead and put my plug back in. Now with her topped off, plug installed, wiped clean, rear end differential oil change is now complete. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. We're starting this video a little crooked. Sorry about the camera angle, but I don't know if I can get any straighter here for you. Maybe that's better. What have I got going on here? Well, for the last, let's say 6,000 miles I've driven this pickup, I've had this noise. And it sounded like the tonneau cover at first. And it sounded like it was in the seat assembly or something. So I had the boss ride the back yesterday, and I said, hey, she's my finder. She can find everything that's lost. And she's like, it's coming from up here. And she put her hand up here, pushed up a little bit, and it stopped. Well, so you hear this? Listen to this. Hear how that sounds? That's the problem. That's the noise. So, to get this light down, I'm going to show you that real quick. As soon as I find my screwdriver again. There it is. Stuck right through the leather. No, not really. What you doing, boss? All right, so right up here, there's these two little tabs. And they got a little spot right here you get a screwdriver in. And just flex it back a little bit. And so this back part's locked up in here, and then that snaps into place. You just push that, push that. You can pull it down a little bit, just enough to get your finger, get your screwdriver in there, and get it down. Now, what's behind all that, making the noise, is that there's a crossbar that goes across, and it's got a foam block. I'm gonna reach my hand in here. I could actually pull this down a little bit, get my finger on the back side of that foam block between the metal and that foam block, and there's one there, and there's one there, and I think that is just enough. Yeah. Where does this go? So that comes clear back to right there. Okay. My thoughts are, did you lose a cat?
Huh?
You lose a cat under the truck? Yeah? Yeah? Well, I'll start it up and move it, and you can get it out from under it.
Okay.
We'll call the nickname the cat Pancake.
Jelly bean crusher.
Jelly bean, you named the cat Jelly Bean. So I'm gonna see if I can get some of this. I got some RTV red, ultra red gasket maker, high temperature, which that'll probably be a good thing because it gets warm up in here. And I'm gonna get on the tip of my finger as much as I can and get it up in between that block and that foam or that metal crossbar. We're just gonna pile it on there. Yeah, like that. I'm glad this is a king crab, a crew cab, or whatever you want to call it. King crew. There. Got a whole bunch of it right there. Doing my best not to get it all over the truck, which I'm failing because I just touched the back window. That cleans up easy. It's sticking right to that now already. I'm gonna reach to the other side over here now and see if I can get it on my other finger on the other block. Now that'll just set up. We'll be in good shape. Oh man. Oh man, I touched all my... That's bad. Oh, this is a bad idea. Look at what I did to the ceiling. All right, we got the dome light fixed. The other thing that happened to me is my mud flap came off. Luckily, I didn't lose it. I don't know, the tire doesn't really hit it. I don't know how it got gone. How's it going, Michael? Those silver bolt heads look stupid. Who's stupid now? All right, folks, what you really came to see was how to change the front differential fluid. You saw at the beginning of the video, we did the rear. Relatively easy, move the cover, new gasket, put the cover on. Now, what I would suggest on every time you do a differential, make sure you can remove the fill plug before you drain anything. Mainly because once you remove, if you can't get it out for some reason, you're not down and out because you can put the cover back on, but you can't fill it. This one's different on the front. So About, when did we bring this truck home? I know it's 6,000 miles. It's about a year ago, this time of year last year, we brought this truck home. It was in May. And I bought this at that time. Well, this is an oil extracting pump, as it were. Hook it on to 12 volts, turn it on. And this, I'm gonna have to feed down in through the fill hole and suck the oil out of this thing because there's not enough room to pull a differential cover off the front end of this thing. So I won't be able to look at the gears without a scope or something. Looking at the rear gears, I'm gonna assume the front gears are okay. So now this is where it's gonna get fun because I gotta get underneath here and try to, yep. Okay folks, we're under here, right here. There's a plug right there. I think you guys can see it from there. I can't see it on the little screen, but you should have enough trajectory to see it. Now before I pull that all the way out, I'm gonna go grab my oil pan. All right, we're back. I got the pump here. The pan I'm gonna put right there. The pump I'm gonna hook up to, I got a 12 volt LifePo battery. The oil looks pretty clean. It's all over the hose. Let's see here. I don't know how much we're gonna get out of that, but we'll see. Now, the biggest thing you want to have is one of these flexible bottles like this. I'm trying to get in a comfortable position, and I can stick that snout in there. Hold it in position while I squeeze the contents of the bag into the differential. And when you know you get enough is when it runs back out. And this thing doesn't quite hold 2 quarts. And a little tech tip for you is don't cut the tips off of both your bags. Just cut the tip off of one of the bags and then swap the... My hands are slippery now. I can't get this tab off. Oh, it's coming. We're getting it. There we go. That way you got a closed tip to store what you don't use. All right there, you can tell she's full. That's got all the fluid it needs, so we'll swap the cap back out, put the sealed cap back on, and we're done. Once we get this, I'm gonna let this drain a little bit, then I'll put a little RTV on the plug, and we'll just screw the plug back in. Down to a drip, we'll go ahead and stick the plug back in. Just wiping up some of the excess here. We're done. Done. Nice. Well, folks, that's all it takes to change the front differential oil on your Ford 05 Ford F150 4x4. There again, I use the full synthetic. This is what I had stuck back in it. Normally, I'd run EMS oil. This I'd put in the rear end as well. I think I did the 75 or 9140 or whatever in the rear end. I can't remember exactly. That's at the beginning of the video. But this contains limited slip additive. Don't need that on the front, but I needed it on the rear. Because this year, the 05 King Ranch has a limited slip posi rear end, which is sweet. The other thing I want to make note of is that front. You know, I did that rear dome light, pull that down. Well, my front dome light hasn't been working properly. They kind of like, wasn't quite right. So I popped it down. Pretty simple. You just grab a hold of the front toward the front windshield and kind of pull down on it. And it's got clips up in there in the ceiling that just pop loose. Drops out in your hand pretty much. Just wiring that goes to the rear window and the sunroof is connected, but the bulbs were loose in there. The cool thing is, and I hope it works out well, they sell these things all over Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. But I can get a brand new switch, brand new light bulbs, and it's LED. so it won't have any bulbs to worry about burning out, and it should work better. That's it. Well, I hope you folks enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful and informative, the boss just come out here checking on me, see how my progress is going. And we're done, boss. What's next on the agenda?
No.
Huh?
No.
You got to mow? You got to mow? Really? So I got to get air back in your tire. All right.
Fix that tire.
I'm going to fix that tire. I don't know if I can fix it. Where's my other tires at? You remember that other set I bought? Don't remember what I did with them. I had them back in that corner for the longest time, but they're not there. Anyway, we're going to get busy on some other tasks around the property here. We'll see you on the next video if I'm lucky. This is Michael and the boss saying, see you next time. She says, bye. All right, be kind to one another, folks. I'm out.